Down today with, sorry for not introducing Jim Brown, a trader living here in Da Nang, Vietnam. How long have you been here?
Uh, just about 2 years, Etienne.
Love it. 2 years. Wonderful. And so, what do you like the most here about Da Nang?
Laid back lifestyle, mate. So, and the weather.
Love that. Cool. So, guys, I'm trying to monitor here on my smartphone to make sure that things are working fine. But if you're watching this, comment in the chat. We'll make sure to answer your question. We'll do kind of an interview with the Q&A after that or throughout the session. We're seeing like it's amazing just the view here on the 18th floor of this hotel. We see pretty much the beach at the back, the buildings and stuff. No big buildings that much, but still a very nice environment and almost no pollution. So that's perfect. Awesome. So I want to start with Jim. Please just introduce yourself. Tell people what you're doing a little bit these days in general.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, mate. First up, welcome to Da Nang.
Thank you.
And thanks for having me here today. It's much appreciated. I'm a big fan of Etienne's. Been sort of listening to his podcast since day one. So, young fella, good bit of a go-getter, which is great to see. These days, just sort of trade full-time. Forex Trader, Forex, and also mainly on the MT4, MT5 platforms. Predominantly on the daily charts, but happy to drop down to lower time frames if required. Nothing sort of less than about 4 hours though. Now I'm going to sort of MT5. You can do sort of 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours, 12 hour sort of charts. I've written 3 trading books, and sort of with the books, I offer a Facebook group support page. So I've got my own sort of Facebook group and that, and help guys and gals out with their trading. So I'm just enjoying the lifestyle, sort of semi-retired at nearly 55. Loving Da Nang.
Love it. And one reason I want to bring you here on the podcast, basically because you have the lifestyle I think most people would want to have, which is kind of living in a nice place, a place that you can do pretty much whatever you want. You can go to the beach, but you're not like sitting at home trading all this. You can go to the beach, you can do many things. Especially because of the time frame you trading the daily chart, mostly. So that's a big plus. Now, let's go with kind of one of your days. Could you describe people kind of what you do, what trading involves for you? Is it like all day trading, which is not?
No.
How does that work? Do you wake up like and look at the chart?
No problem. Yeah, well, here in Da Nang, the New York close for me is at 5 a.m. local. I don't get up at 5 a.m. I set my alarm for about 6:40 a.m., 20 to 7. It's routine every day. Get up, straight on the charts basically. Look at the daily charts. I'm trading at the moment, I think 59, 60 pairs.
Yeah.
So it's a fair variety. That includes like gold and a couple of silver type pairs on the MT4. That probably takes me about 20 minutes to go through all them. It sounds like a lot of pairs, but if you set up the charts and always updating the charts with, say, trend lines or, making notes on them, etc., as each day you check them, makes it pretty easy. So I bang out my initial trades, and as I said, I've got a Facebook group. I update them with what I've done so they can follow along. I like to call my trades live. It's just a smaller live account, and I trade very small with the group, but just gives the trading some credibility. Mm-hmm. So I let them know exactly what I've done. And as soon as I've done that, quick check of Facebook, any inquiries. Then basically I've got a bit of a morning routine where I do like affirmations, morning pages. And I also do about 5 to 10 minutes of meditation. Then back on the charts, start updating my spreadsheets, double checking the charts. Then I will prepare screenshots for my Facebook group if there's any new trades. So it's just a matter of putting notes on the chart, taking a screenshot and posting it on my Facebook group. So I give them a second update, just make sure everything's tidied up. I've also got my private trading to deal with. Generally I'm all done by probably about 9:30, 10 o'clock. The longest part is updating the group and the spreadsheets, etc. And also keep a daily journal too, which I update. So it's a little bit in there, but then I can go for a beach walk or to do whatever.
Love that. And guys, we want to remind you that if you're watching this live, comment in the chat. Like the best Q&As we have and the best interviews are where people interact and ask good questions. I can only ask the question I want to ask, but you guys probably have some question that you can get a lot of value from. So post them in the chat, and we'll make sure to answer them. If you're watching the replay, comment below as well. We'll make sure to answer your question all the time because that's what we love to do. And so what people are going to think right now is, how the heck do you follow 60 pairs or 59 pairs? How does that happen?
It sounds daunting, but it's not. It's actually you set up the charts properly on your MT4 platform with just on a couple of profiles, and you because you're using the same template for every chart. It doesn't matter what time frame I'm trading. It's all it's exactly the same. I've got my own custom indicators. Got my template. I know what I'm looking for, even though it's it's not purely mechanical system. It's I use technical indicators, and I just make decisions at the time. So I can look at a chart, and all my indicators are already on the chart. If I'm looking, say, for divergence, I've seen it coming in the days prior, so I've drawn a couple of trend lines on the chart. So, and you just know when, like this morning, I took a sell on the daily on the Euro AUD, so the Euro Aussie. On the daily chart, I saw there's a double top forming. It's a high level. The high above where I've taken the short is if you look even back 12 years, it's a strong level of resistance or support. So, I knew it was coming. So today I just saw it and I just had my little red dot in the chart and I took the trade.
Nice. So same strategy for all time frame, all pairs.
Same strategy. Yep.
Nice. Now, when it comes to the 60 pair you trade, how have you decided which pair to trade? Is it just picking everything and just trading everything, or did you use some tests and stuff?
No, I had to. I can just go back, eyeball the chart. So I had to go across two platforms because basically my main platforms are both Australian brokers, Pepperstone and Go Markets. Both brokers don't offer all the pairs, and all I'm doing is eyeballing the daily charts, going back in history a little bit and just seeing what sort of trends. I've been looking at charts for years, so you can tell what moves and what not. But the problem is with I'm trading the exotics, I guess you'd call them, or the obscure pairs, your krona and your all those, the Mexican peso. What probably catches a lot of people on the hop is the swap or the overnight interest. Sometimes
can be crazy at times.
And the pips. So you got huge spreads and huge pip counts, like a 50 pip move on the euro pound, maybe the equivalent to a 3,000 pip move on the the USD Mexican peso. It throws a lot of people, but it's all the same. It's all relative,
Yeah. So how do you deal with this, and especially for taking profit? Do you look for a fixed move in pip or reward to risk of some sort? Or how does that work?
All right, this is probably where we're going to disagree a bit.
Let's disagree.
That's all right. I sort of think out the box a little bit. I don't do what the so-called experts would all recommend you do. Even when I take a trade on the daily charts, I don't place an initial stop, which is, I know people are going to disagree with it. I've heard it all before. I'm not a big believer in the old risk to reward or anything like that. What I tend to do is I enter with a position where I can scale out. Now, I'm looking at these charts every day, and even though I'm not a price action trader per se, because I've looked at so many, I know when trends are getting weak, or you're hitting a level of support or resistance, or one of my indicators have even done something that's gives me a hint, a clue that the trend may be changing. So I'm quite happy to take half my trade off the table anytime and move my stop to either a break even on the remaining part of the trade or an overall break even. So give the trade a bit of room, depending on where it's at. And sometimes it's just enough profit on the table to just close it out and close half it out, jam a stop right up, and I was going through a few of my stats last night and I did notice that, say, I think in my Facebook group I've taken roughly about 1,000 live trades, so it's a fair sample size. 68.8% are profitable.
Okay.
It's up now. that sounds impressive,
Yeah.
but my losers on average are larger than my winners. Not
Oh, yeah.
much.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
but the 68 is it's nearly 70%.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
So I haven't got that risk reward thing, and as I said, I don't place a stop initially, but when I can, I will. So I'm not trading completely without stops, and I've got other strategies too where I hedge. So I've earned a buy, and the buy goes against me. I'm quite happy to take a sell at the same time. So I'll have two trades open, and I appreciate not all jurisdictions have that capability, especially in the US and that. But there's ways around that. Just open a second account, and you can trade, keep the accounts balanced. So then if I take a hedge, so in that example a sell, then what I'll do, they'll be exactly the same position size. So basically, normally I'm locking in a loss. So I can't lose any more other than swap or interest rate fees. Then I'll wait for another signal back in the original direction where I'll go in with a slightly larger position size and try and clear the trades out, all three trades in one hit. It could get a bit messy sometimes, and it's a higher risk strategy. It's not for everyone, but works for me. So
yeah, and here's what I want you guys to understand from Jim is the fact that it's kind of really discretionary. Like, he doesn't necessarily trade with this, like, necessarily a system's gonna follow all the time. It's gonna be different on the market, based on the market. This works for some personality, and Jim is the perfect example of that, where like he has a personality for that system, for that discretion, and some people like me wouldn't just wouldn't take it. That's why you have to see what works best for yourself. So that's interesting. And what I like also about your style of trading is that you have indicators custom built for your strategy, so you can just follow the indicators and trade with that, or enter trade with that.
Yeah. Look,
So what I'm curious to know is, how did you come up with those indicators? Did you code them yourself? Are you like a coder by heart who codes all day and creates stuff all day?
No, not a coder at all, mate.
Cool.
Zero programming skills. Anyone? No, I've got a great programmer over in Canada.
Nice.
Great country, not Canada. But anyway, no, I was part of not a prop trading firm as such. I was with another group that traded, and I had access to an indicator called MACD Platinum. Now, I don't know much about it other than it's just a MACD, and it's one of the features of it's got what they call a zero lag. I'm not exactly sure what it means, but it's an indicator that works fine for me. And I combine that with another indicator called, I think it's called QQE Advanced. Now, that's another tricky little indicator. You can Google it. It's freely available if you really want to know the nuts and bolts about it. So I like how they combine, how they work together. So all I did, I won't take any credit for either of those indicators.
Okay.
All I did was had an indicator built called the QMP filter. I know it's a lot of initials in that, but which just combines those two indicators and puts green and red dots on the chart. So when the two indicators are in sync, I've got these green and red dots on the chart that show me when they are in sync. And there's, with the MACD Platinum, I look at certain things where it is in relation to the zero level also. So there's a couple of things to look at, and so they're the main indicators. In combination with, I've got just 3 MAs, moving averages on the chart, just your basic 50, 100 EMA and your 240 LMA, just something a little bit different. They just give me an idea which way the trend's going. I'm quite happy to trade both ways, with the trend and against the trend. But if I trade against the trend, I do need some sort of either a double top, double bottom sort of scenario, or I need a divergence. And divergence is a big part of my trading. And I use price and the MACD Platinum for the divergence.
Okay.
So, yeah, so
it's a combination of everything.
It is a combination, but it sounds like a lot, but it's not.
Yeah.
And if, like I say, I'll post all these trades and any new trade I take in my Facebook group, and it doesn't take long at all. And I make notes on the chart saying it's a high risk trade. If I'm against the trend, to me it's a high risk trade, but it's not really. It's just there's a lot of people out there. I fully understand. They'll only take trades. Say they're trading the 1 hour chart. They'll only take trades that if the daily's in the same direction as the daily
Yeah,
chart.
yeah.
Look, I can understand that. And I had a question a couple of weeks, just a few days ago. A couple of people asked the same question. Jim, my daily chart says one thing, my 4-hour chart says the other thing. I'm confused. And my answer to that is, it's up to you, but I'm quite happy to take, say, if I was trading the euro, I'm quite happy to take a buy on the 4-hour and a sell on the daily. It doesn't worry me because that's,
Okay.
I can do it, and it's,
Yeah.
I'm trading 2 different time frames. There's no,
Uh-huh. So now, how have you been able to test your strategy on all these currencies? Have you backtested all of them?
mate, I spend lots of times on the lots of hours on the chart. I've probably spent more hours on the chart than most people. I tell you.
Yeah. I think that's a common trait though from traders who are solid with whatever they do.
Oh,
They
yeah.
spend a lot of chart time.
You have
Sure.
to. You have
Yeah.
to. You know, like I know when you look back at historical charts, especially the daily charts, you can look back years, and you will have a tendency to look right on the chart. You know, like you've got that bias sort of. You will look at things, and you'll sort of second guess yourself and know what's coming. So you sort of, and the trick is too when you do that sort of stuff. Look at the charts. Look for where your system gets into trouble, not where you got a super, mate, 2,000 pips here, yeah. No, look for where it gets in the poo, you know, and try and see how it performs when the charts aren't agreeing with you. That's when you, and I do use I know a lot of people love the old Forex Tester and that software. I don't personally use that because I used to use Forex Tester too. But it was a bit of a hassle because my indicators, been custom indicators, you have to get them coded to the Forex Tester, which I'd rather not. And it's only in the last few months I was put onto something, another, I think it's called Soft Forex Simulator. It's like it's a lot cheaper than Forex Tester. It's basically an EA that you download onto your MT4 platform, where you can use your templates, your custom indicators, all on MT4. And the beauty about it also is they allow you to download tick data from, and so your data's better than the MT4, and it works exactly the same as Forex Tester, where you go one candle at a time, and you can trade, and you've got trade history, and it gives you all the stats, the same as Forex. It's really good, and it's a lot cheaper than Forex Tester.
Yeah. So I'll try to find the link because I'm not sure about the software. I'll try to find the link after the live and put it below in the description of the video. And you guys have awesome questions, so keep them coming for sure. Now, one thing though with I had a really good question which I forgot. Okay, well, so we'll get to your question, guys. Awesome questions. From Alejandro. Welcome, Alejandro. Do you do some scanning as in pre-work and then set up alerts so you know which ones of the 60 pair to trade and look at for the day, or how does that work?
No, actually, I don't have any alerts because I check my charts at the same time every day. I just go through them once that morning, place my trades, modify my trades, let the Facebook group know, double check them, then I don't have to look at the charts again until the next day. So I don't use any alerts or anything as such. Look, I know it sounds like a lot. 60 pairs sounds like a lot.
It's a lot.
But you can rip through them. I'm looking at these charts every day. So I know, and as I said, I draw my trend lines. I know where my signals are, you know. And even if I get, say, for example, like I said, it's a 2-part with my QQE Advanced, which is not even on the chart, and my MACD Platinum, which is on the chart. Sometimes that'll go off first, so I just draw like a vertical line on, say I've got a blue dot on there that is giving me a clue that there's a possible buy coming up. I'll put a vertical line, a grey vertical line on that chart, so I know next time I go to that chart, there's a grey line there, must be close, you know. And I write notes on the chart. You use the MT4 stuff, and just save it as a profile, and you just, you know, I know people just get blown away by the 60 pair thing, but it's not that big a deal, trust me, once you get used to it.
But here's the thing, I would probably much rather trade 60 pairs and trade them only once a day than trading like 15 pairs and trade them like 5 times a day. Or look at them 5 times a day. So
I might not get a trade on one pair for a month.
Yeah.
But at the moment I've got probably about 100 trades open. You know, so
Wow, okay.
you know,
Okay.
it's no big.
That's another level.
It's and people get bored by the daily chart, saying, "Oh, how can you make money? It takes forever." But when you're trading lots of pairs,
Yeah.
there's
I
plenty
think
of
that's the
action.
power. Yeah,
There's plenty of action.
exactly. Yeah,
Like today
yeah.
was a super quiet day. I was saying before. Only had one new trade, and I closed half of another trade.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, it's just it's super quiet.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. It's great.
Yeah,
But
it happens.
last week, 3 days, I think I had 7, 8 trades each day open, and also trade management, closing half, moving stops, putting stops in. You know, so
Yeah.
there's plenty to keep you busy, but it's not that hard to just rip through them in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. And
Once a day.
Once you get used to it and the habit, it's
yeah.
like gonna take like 2 minutes or so.
You got to remember, I've been looking at chart. I started trading back in the mid '90s on futures, and I used to hand draw my charts, and that sort of, I loved it. I just loved the chart thing. But then, obviously, when I started trading, looking at Forex in 2002, and this is back in the days of MT3 still, so when the spreads on a good spread on the euro was 3 pips, and a good spread on the pound was 6 pips or something. It's, lots changes,
Cool. Yeah. So someone is asking. This is Downstead. He's asking where does this guy live? He lives in Da Nang. We are in Da Nang right now in Vietnam.
Da Nang, Vietnam, central Vietnam.
One of the best places I've seen so far for the beach and just the lifestyle in general. Where it's crazy. Everything is like super cheap as well. So, what do you like the most about Da Nang? And I think I asked you that before. But
Yeah, look, it's as I said to you before, we've been here nearly 2 years now.
Yeah.
But, if you can't tell already, I'm from Australia. I'm from the Gold Coast in Australia, so I'm used to living on the beach. Prior to living in Da Nang, the wife and I, we lived in Hua Hin in Thailand, which is also on the beach. Beautiful spot there. We lived there for about a year. We basically just packed up and de-stressed and decluttered our life. We're sort of minimalists. But we're not at a stage where we're going to travel every month or so. We sort of like a bit of routine in our life, and it's sort of. And we like Da Nang, and it's not far from Australia. Like for example, the wife goes back on this Thursday, and I'll go back next month for about 3 weeks. Just catch up with friends and family, but it's not that far, so it's great.
Love it. And so someone's asking, what's the cost of living here? And this is gonna vary from every single person you talk to. Like you could live in like super fancy building that we see, in like the Marriott or whatever big hotel, and they have apartment and stuff. It's gonna increase your cost of living, of course. You could eat in restaurants that are like super expensive, but
I'll give you sort of a rundown.
Sure. Go ahead, because I'm curious too, because I've seen like the price here really cheap in general. So what does that look like?
Well, like coming from Australia is very expensive. Anyone that's either from Australia or been to Australia, New Zealand, you'll know this. For example, rent. If I want to rent a 1-bedroom unit on the beach in Australia, it's going to cost me $500, $600 Australian per week. Here I rent a 1-bedroom unit. I've got cleaners come 3 times a week. I got super fast Wi-Fi for free. The cleaners do our washing. It's got 24-hour security. One street back from the beach here.
Yeah, like 10 seconds from the beach, which is amazing.
I can see. I have to actually shut the lounge room doors because of the noise of the surf. No, but it's that's for me that's $600 US a month roughly.
Yeah,
so
crazy.
If I go down the local beach bar here, have a beer, Australian, that's probably about $1.20.
Yeah,
$1 to $1.20 Australian.
40,000, so it's like
depends
like
what you drink.
$1.25 US or something.
Yeah, so there are more expensive, nicer places here, but we can go out to dinner, wife and I, have a nice meal, a couple of drinks, $20 Australian. That's a good feed and a couple of
exactly. Cool. Love it a lot. So let's get back to trading a little bit. I've seen a good question about drawdowns. Steven is asking, what's up, Steven? Do you have a long drawdown sometimes, and how do you handle the drawdown?
It's something I don't worry about because I trade fairly small. Now, a lot of people, the problem with people coming in the Forex trading, I think they expect big money quickly.
Yeah, of course.
You can trade decent accounts like 10,000, 20,000 accounts, and you don't have to trade like full standard lots. And I don't trade standard lots at all these days. I might get up to if I've got a combination of trades on, I might get up to a stage where I've got a full standard lot or maybe 2 full lots on a trade. But generally, mini lots, whether it's $1, $2, $3 a pip, that's fine. And I've got my leverage. I'm lucky. I've got Australian accounts, so my leverage is 300 to 1. But that's not an issue. I could trade with 50 to 1, or I think the new European regulations coming in, that's 30 and 20 to 1.
Yeah, it depends on the country you're in.
Yeah.
But I know Canada, we have like 100 to 1, which I don't even use.
So that if I've got to give you any advice, trade small. Small. Drawdowns are not an issue. You're always going to get drawdowns. But like I say, I hedge a lot of trades. So I was telling Etienne a couple of days ago, I don't like losing trades.
Yeah.
Like I might have a loser, but if say I've got 3 trades on, if I do have to hedge and I've got 3 trades, one of them's going to be a loser, but the other 2 will make up for or 2 will be a loser and the other 1 will make up. So even though I do have losing trades, don't get me wrong, that no one has 100% track record, but drawdowns not an issue. So I don't suffer drawdowns really at all. But having said that, years ago when I was system hopping like everyone else, I blew up accounts. Who doesn't?
Yeah,
it's part of it. You trade too big, take on too much risk. It's just it's a hard one, but no, it's not. I don't have an issue with drawdown at all.
And the other thing I think is important to mention is that you don't rely on trading to like live or eat. Like if you were to have a drawdown, you still eat properly.
Yeah. Got plan B in place.
Yeah, exactly.
But generally,
that's kind of important.
Yeah.
Cool, love it. And so, in your Facebook group, you have a lot of people reaching out to you. Either they read your book, and by the way, all the links for the book that Jim wrote are below, and he gives you his indicator with it, which is pretty cool, for free. So a lot of people in your Facebook group, they're gonna probably try to trade, try to implement strategies. Maybe your own, maybe some other strategies. What do you see them do wrong all the time? Like, what are the common mistakes?
Look, I don't. Hello to all my members that are watching. No, but I don't criticise people. I'm not one of these people that it's either my way or the highway. That's wrong. It's like we all like different food. We all like different music. Makes the world go round. We all like different ways of trading, and I understand that. I do see a few common errors that I just try to give my opinion on.
Yeah.
And I think one of the big ones is things like their stops. The placement of stops. Look, I understand people want to use stops. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying don't use stops. Don't listen to me. But I'm saying if you do use a stop, you've got to be smart about it. There's no use just having, say, I'm risking $30 or I'm 30 pips on every trade. It just doesn't work unless you've got a system that's specifically geared to that stop. So people jam their stops up too tight. And see, I'm of the belief too that you can have all the indicators in the world. You can have all the trend lines, all the support, resistance, fib levels, pardon me, pivot levels. Do they work or don't they work? It's a bit of a...
Yeah.
Is it... I know the markets are revolve around human sort of behaviour or human nature. So the chicken or the egg sort of thing, Is price hit the 200 EMA because that's where price wants to go? Or is that because everyone trades around that 200 EMA? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
There's no solution.
Yeah,
there's no answer.
It's a tough one. So, but that's one thing. You got to give your trade. Everyone knows where these levels are. So if you place your stop, say for example, at a previous high or low, just on the other side, or everyone on the planet's doing the same thing,
Yeah.
Including the banks and the institutions, they all know, and the brokers, especially if you're going with like a market maker or something, they'll run your stops. And how many times, and you would have seen it, you pick the trade direction, then you get stopped there by 5-10 pips, then it goes back in the original direction. Now
happens frequently,
happens,
for sure.
and the thing is too, like, there's plenty of people I've listened to that have worked with brokers, and they rattle off the broker stats, and broker statistics show that most traders actually pick the right direction. Most traders, it's about 60-65% of traders actually pick the right direction. It's trade management that lets them down.
Yeah, right. That's a good advice, I think.
Yeah, so to me, you've got to give now, if you want to use a stop, look at maybe an ATR, 1.5, 2 ATR or something like that, which is your average true range, whatever it is, or daily true range, whatever you want to call it. So there's ways around it, but that's one thing I think is I get in my group, and I love people especially in the group that come up with their own ideas and give their own analysis. Mate, I can look at that stuff all day, you know.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, you would too. You'd appreciate.
Yeah, of course.
You're always like keen to see how other people look at markets or what they're thinking.
Oh yeah.
You know, I just find it interesting. I know.
And the other thing we talked about is the fact that some people play stops at like a fixed pip level, pip amount, like let's say 30 pip or whatever. And so I wanted to tell people like why is that wrong, in general.
Too close for a start. Most of them are way too close.
Yeah.
Like you're trading on the daily chart. If you're going to use a stop, it's going to be 100, 150, 200 pips.
Yeah, and that depends on the pair also.
Yeah,
it's
it
like
depends
the
on the
minimum.
pair. Yeah, like you can't compare. You can't say put a 50 pip stop on the euro pound, then put a 50 pip stop on the pound New Zealand dollar, you know, because you're comparing apples to oranges. One moves hundreds of pips, the other one's a slow mover, you know. So people just get stopped out too quick, or the other thing is the old story, they cut off their winning trades too quick and let their losing trades turn into a complete nightmare.
Yeah.
And look, I'm guilty of it. I've still got open trades from months ago that I've got to work my way out of because I've either forgotten about them, let them go. I lose control sometimes. I'm not perfect, but I will work on them until I get out of them. It's a bit
Okay. Cool. I have a couple of comments here. So from Will, a new trader here lost more than one trade today to tight stop. Now this is not a problem. This is normal. But I would ask yourself if you have a plan. If that's what your plan tells you to do, and if you tested your plan, which is what Jim did a whole lot.
Yep.
Then you know. Then like there's no problem. It's totally fine. But if you just did that because you thought it would be nice to trade that way for today, that's not gonna cut it. See, that's not gonna work. Kino says that's just the cost of doing business. Exactly. So perfect answer. Love it.
Yeah, it's good.
Any comment on that?
Yeah, look, that's fine. The thing is with, you know, if you have a type stop and you've got a good system and you've tested it, as Etienne said, it comes down to the mind games then, you know, like example, the turtles, famous, we all know about the turtle story. They only had a success rate or a win rate of roughly, I think it was about 30%.
Yeah.
So that means they're losing 70+% of their trades. Now, if you're happy to lose and it doesn't affect you mentally, if you can take the hits, lose 12, 15, 20 trades in a row, knowing that your system's good or your method's good in the long run, that's fine if you can do it. But like my method, 70% roughly, and I still have losses, don't get me wrong, but I'm happy with that. So you've got to be able to sleep at night, you've got to be able to be comfortable with it, you know, like everyone's different, you know.
Exactly. And you're a different style than I am for sure on that topic, Kevin is asking, what's your daily average screen time?
Well, mate, that's a tough one because if I was just trading for myself and not worried about, say, my Facebook group and stuff like that, I could be done in, on my charts themselves, I can be done in 15, 20 minutes, and that would be it. But because I've got all day and I've got nothing else to do, I do a lot of, I'm always looking at charts during the day. I'm always testing something new, having a look at, I've got a couple other different methods I do trade. And, you know, like next week when the wife goes back to Australia, I'll be spending a lot more time on the charts because she's not here. So, you know, I've got lots of spare time. I'll be hammering other methods. And I love it too. So I've got a passion about it. So
that's what a passion shows, for sure.
So, but mate, if I'm just like a lot of people I know work, got full-time jobs, etc., get on the daily charts. Trust me. It doesn't matter when you check them. It doesn't matter if you live in a time zone that doesn't match the New York Open. Like I don't get up at 5 o'clock to check the open of the can. I don't care about that.
See, I used to do that. First time I came to Asia, I used to wake up like really like even 5:30 or 6 a.m. to look at the chart. But I understood pretty quickly from 5 to like 8, 9, there's nothing happening.
Nothing happening. And even if something does happen, say you're 8 hours behind the open, as long as you're checking the daily charts at the same time every day, take the trade. If your signal's there, it may have already moved in your favour. It may have gone the other way. Most of the trades I open on my daily chart go against me straight away. So, you know, it's just...
So look for retracement or whatever, to re-enter.
You know, keep it simple. There's no use getting. I don't think you should get fancy at all. I'm not a big believer in limit orders or stop orders. I just at market.
Okay.
I look, and a lot of people disagree with that, but keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
Not
And-
that I'm stupid.
Yeah, I think to get back on Graven's question, we have to distinguish also from, because like there's trading time, like trading chart time, trading screen time,
Yep.
where you trade, you look at your chart, place trades.
Yep.
But there's time to kind of work on your trading, so like develop strategies, have new ideas.
Oh yeah, look, I'll do that every day, just
Yeah,
about.
yeah,
It
yeah.
doesn't look, but I'm not. I don't have to do it, but I will do it just because I enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I'll get on my simulator, or I might just go back over historical charts. I do it every day. I've been looking at charts, and you
Yeah.
and you become, you get that old gut feel, or that what do you call it, like just you just know you got an idea what's going to happen next. You're not going to predict the future. Don't get me wrong.
No,
but
yeah.
A market's overextended, or it's losing momentum or
Right,
something
right,
like.
right.
You just intuition, I guess you'd call it.
Yeah.
It comes with practice. You recognise patterns. Like I said, I'm not a big price action trader, but I can look at candles. I don't know any of the dojos or any of that stuff. I wouldn't have a clue. But I know what they look like on a chart, and I can tell, oh, that's a bearish candle, or, I don't know, what do you got, bearish engulfing, and three crows and all this stuff. I don't know any of that stuff.
Yeah. So I'm curious to know what about when you started to trade, like in the early years? Were you having like a full-time job with it, and how did that turn out?
Mate, there's a bit of history. Like I said, I've been doing it. Forex, I was looking at it since 2002. That's when I first heard about it, which is the early days for retail Forex trading, actually.
Yeah.
And as I said before, the spreads were big in that. And I used to jump around. I tried to be a day trader. Look at the 5-minute charts, 15-minute charts. It's all very sexy, and
Those are entertaining. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It's the the rush, the adrenaline rush. Like back in those days, I was even had to look at horse racing systems and stuff like nothing to do with horses, just the systems, the staking plans and stuff like that. So I bounced around from every shiny new object I saw, bang, and I blew accounts. I even and at that time I was a police officer, so I had a fairly stressful sort of job. I had a fair bit going on. So and I actually went full time when I first left the police in about 2005. Spent about a year, but by then I'd already sort of spent 9 years in the Australian Air Force, and I'd spent 17 years as a police officer. So I've been used to getting a wage every 2 weeks since I was 15 years old when I joined the Air Force. So becoming a trader with the pressure of earning
that's a big
wage,
shift.
and I wasn't in a good state of mind from the police either, but I lasted about a year and I had to go back to work because I didn't blow up my account as such, but I wasn't making enough money to justify being a trader. And so I've been on and off since then. Then it was just in the last, we've been overseas 3 years, so pardon me. So it's just in the last sort of 3.5 years that I thought, that's it, I'm going full time again and put my head down, make an effort, treat it like a business, which we do, and life's good.
Cool. So how do you deal with being in the police and trying to trade? Were you like on different shift and not consistent with your trading time?
Oh yeah, I was a shift worker.
Okay. So how did you, because I know that people watching this are in the same situation. They have to work either like 8 to 5 or 9 to 5, whatever, or they have like a shift job where they work in the night and the day sometime. So how can you become a trader with that kind of
back in those days,
environment?
back in those days I was probably more of a day trader.
Okay.
And living in Australia is actually a good time zone to trade, because during our day in Australia is obviously the Asian session, then the London session sort of from that sort of late afternoon, 3 o'clock in the afternoon through till then you could pick up the start of the US session.
Yeah.
I'd be normally in bed by 2 a.m, which is about lunchtime in the US. So it was a good time zone. And I'd just pick a few hours and day trade. Yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
Cool. It's a different method. Yeah.
But, like I said, if you're a full-time job, daily charts.
Yeah.
Daily charts. Look at me, daily charts.
Love
Not
that.
sexy, but it's trust me, it's the best time
Yeah,
frame.
of course. It's kind of boring, and you don't get the adrenaline of trading, like the excitement that you would get on the lower time frame. But at the same time, you can enjoy life. You can go
And you don't
on the beach. You can do whatever you want.
You don't stress out about the news either, like come, say the interest rates or NFP or something like that. I'm aware of it and I'll look at it, but fundamentals does my head in. But I'll sit there and I'll watch the charts during major news, but I don't have to, only because I like to see the bounce, and I want to make sure I've got a bit of room and stuff like that. But the news just, it's a waste of time. Daily charts, you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, exactly. And see, the other day when I met Jimmy, he was telling me about the news. I don't know which news it was in the US, and I didn't even know there was that news announcement, so I don't look at news at all.
I look at Forex Factory just, and because I'm conscious in my Facebook group that there is guys and gals that trade on the smaller time frame. So if there's, say, interest rates out of Canada, I'll tell them there's interest rates out of Canada. Heads up for all you people trading on the 15-minute charts.
Be careful.
Be careful, But all you people on the daily charts, sit back and have another pina colada, life's good.
Yeah, cool. Question from Stephen again. How long do you keep your trade on average? You trade mostly from daily chart and forward entry.
Trades, I don't. If I'm trading on the daily chart, I just take my trade off the daily chart. I'm not dropping down to another time frame. Like I said before, I might be trading the same pair on the 4 hour and the daily, and they'll have completely different entries. They might be even going in a different direction. But my trades can be open a month to days, basically. Rarely, normally, I'd say on average probably about 4 to 5 days, and I'll scale out too. So that,
that's pretty fast. So for the daily chart, so it's only 4 or 5 candles.
Or
a little bit more because it's a week. Well, 4 or 5 candles. So
sometimes you just got to be smart about it. You might be I might be trading back towards my moving averages, and it might suddenly hit them quickly, and if I'm going against a trend, coming back to the moving averages, I'm going to close half my trade out and move my stop to break even because it could bounce off the. It's just sort of protection. Same if it goes up to a previous high or low, I'm going to take half off the table, or I might get an opposite signal on my MACD Platinum, half off the table. There's things you look at,
Speaking of which, question from Ben. When your trades are moving in your favor, do you add more to your position? Do you kind of size up? And I'm curious to know why. Or why
All right,
not?
there is times I will, Ben, if I'm, say, take a sell trade, for example, and it goes against me, but it's still a valid sell signal for me. There is times where, for example, and I don't get an opportunity to hedge it, say I'm not getting an opposite buy signal. What happens is the market may go against me, then roll back down again. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll draw a trend line across those lows, for example, on a sell, and once it clearly breaks those lows, I'll add to that position, but I'll normally add with a slightly bigger position size. Same happens on buy trades, obviously, so I can add, but it's not that common. And one thing I want to add too, I do have I've had a custom Excel spreadsheet made up. It's just recently modified by one of my members, which is great, thank you. Where I just input the trade direction, trade size, entry price, and it could be like 8 trades on the same pair, or both directions, different sizes, and what it does is it gives me overall break even. So it's a great little tool.
Okay.
I'll share it with you, mate. You can spread it with your members,
sure,
mate.
Sure.
Might be handy for them.
Cool. Wonderful. Comment here from Alejandro. I find the traded chart too stressful for my methodology. I prefer to take things calmly and see opportunities unfold on a longer time frame, like 4-hour daily chart and a few days to month.
Well done, mate.
This is Jean. Do you offer signals to your Facebook group members?
No, I don't offer signals as such, and I try not to. I shy away from that. Like, it's as soon as I take my trades, I've got to look after the trading first. I'll take my trades. It might take me 20 minutes to go through all the charts. Then what I do, as soon as I've done all that without updating any spreadsheets or preparing screenshots or double checking the charts, I'll get straight on my Facebook group and I'll just give them, I normally update them twice a day. The first one's called Part 1, which is this is the one I'm referring to. I'll get on there and I'll say, this is what I've done. And I advise them if there's any new trades open. I advise if there's any stops added or modified. If I'm closing out any trades, etc. So it's not a signal service as such, and I'd like to keep it that way. It's more of an education thing just for the books. And also, in my Facebook group, all these trades I take, I share a Google spreadsheet with them all. So everyone's got access to that. So they can see when I get stopped out of something, but I'll let them know if I've been stopped. So if I get stopped out of a trade at 9 o'clock at night, I don't have to tell them because they know it's on the spreadsheet where my stop is. And the next day I'll go, oh yeah, I was stopped out on that trade yesterday, and they know, you know. So, but it's not a signal service. But like I said before, I like to let them know as soon as possible, just to give it some sort of credibility, some transparency.
Yeah.
And I don't really like giving advice. I get some people that contact me and go, oh, Jim, I'm stuck in this trade. What should I do? You know?
There's no answer to that.
Nah,
it's really hard to answer.
You don't know because you don't know what their risk tolerance is. What their, you know, they might have their wife be on going, wah, 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 you know, so, but you know, like it's, you got to, I can't give them advice, but I normally say this is what I would do, but I'm not telling you to do that sort of thing, you know. And look, I understand that. Look, I've done it before.
Of course. Yeah, and cool. And the other thing is that I think it's really hard to learn from signal. Like you could, let's say, buy a single subscription for someone.
Yeah.
It's really hard to learn.
I've done it before.
But something like that, it's easier to learn because you get the kind of the technique and the mindset behind it.
Mate, I'll give you an idea. When I first started trading, when I left the police, I didn't trade myself. I was relying on another person. And you could Google this chap. He's called the Yen Man. The Yen Man, as in the Japanese yen. Now, I was paying, this will blow your listeners away, mate. Okay. I was paying $150 a day for his.
Whoa, that's shit.
For his levels.
Okay.
But he had a proven track record.
Yeah, okay.
And the usual story, Murphy's Law, as soon as I started, you know, but it's, you live and learn. Yeah. And I was trading a fairly big account and that, but it was crazy, you know, like.
Yeah.
So signals, you've got to learn to trade yourself. You know, like we could, and even when I started Forex trading, it was the very first. I went to a private residence for a trading meeting, and at that time I was sort of looking at stocks, futures, still interested in futures. And this guy, he said, "Oh, I trade Forex using this software that we're there to have a look at." I said, "Forex? What do you mean Forex? I've never even heard of it." And he goes, "Yeah, I'm trading the Japanese yen." And he showed me his statements. And he turned something like a 10,000 account into a 1.8 million account over the space of 18 months or something. I'm going, whoa, hang on. What's this Forex stuff, you know? And he showed me. We had a couple of sessions together, and he showed me what he did. I couldn't replicate it. He could do it. I couldn't, you know? It's just, we're built differently, we're wired differently. And this guy, he wasn't, you know, it was all fair income. It was all above board. It was crazy.
Yeah.
So signals are tough. Best to learn to trade yourself. But, you know, follow people, have a look, see if it's a method that suits you. And like I say in my books, I'm only giving people a framework. I'll give you my indicators. I'll show you how I look at them. But if you want to add your RSI or your Bollinger Bands or your candlestick patterns, or you only want to trade with a trend, knock yourself out, you know. Like make it your own. Take what I give you, make it your own, become good at it, practice. Don't be distracted by that new, there's a new system, look at that. Just, that's how it works. Make it yourself, you know. Like you're comfortable with your method, I'm comfortable with mine. People out there, mate, you've got to find their own.
Cool. So how can people find you if they want to connect with you or check out your Facebook group? Right here.
Hang on.
JagFX. Yeah.
Simple. JagFX.com. JAGFX.com. It's got links to my books.
Yep.
And nothing else. No other upsells. Got a few YouTube channels. And everyone's welcome to join my Facebook group. It is a closed group. If you spam like you do in his, you'll be kicked out like you do in his.
It's not arguing mine either. So yeah, we'll try to keep it spam free for sure.
Yeah, spam free. No, it's all good fun. It's all nice and friendly.
Yeah, and the Amazon page, the Amazon author page for his book is going to be just below this video in the descriptions. You can check it out there. A couple of other questions. Do you keep a journal?
Yes, I do. I've kept the journals, mate, for years. I'm like Etienne. I sort of have a pen and paper next to my laptop every day. But that's not my journal. My journal's actually, other than keeping the spreadsheets on Google Sheets, I think they're called. So it's all in the cloud. My journal's on what's the equivalent on Google? Google page or whatever it is.
Yeah, Google Doc.
Yeah, Google Doc. Yeah. So I think at the moment it's like 260 pages or something every day. I just write, and it's just simple things like what time I got up, hit the charts, make sure I do my affirmations, meditation, that stuff. Try to do some daily exercise, how I feel, if I'm feeling poorly. Yeah, it's just stuff like even today's interview, that'll be in there just for reference and that, and just how the trading is going. So it's just a daily journal, and I can't stress enough, you got to treat it like a business.
Yeah. Of course.
Of course.
Yeah, I love that. Can you, and it's going to be a last question we take, can you elaborate more on how you scale up your positions?
Yeah, it's probably more of a discretionary thing.
Yeah, it depends.
It depends.
Yeah.
Look, I'll look at, I guess I'm looking for like clues, you know what I mean? Like, so there could be just the trend looks like it's weakening, like rounding over or something like that. There's sometimes I'll just close a trade, you know, if it's, I'd rather use some sort of trade management where I can close out half and move my stop to somewhere that I'm not going to lose anything overall, or just not going to lose anything on the what's remaining. But generally, if I get to a level that's like a previous high, previous low, that's one sign. I might start scaling out. If it gets to, say, for example, back to the MAs, if I'm trading against a trend, that's another sign. Another one is my MACD Platinum. It's sort of it's hard to explain it to you, but it's like a normal MACD that goes up and down through a zero level. But the MACD Platinum tends to definitely always come back to the zero level. And when it gets to that zero level, that's a sign for me to start looking for trades the other way, sort of thing. So
Okay.
I know it's hard to explain, but
Yeah.
you can see that. And if you go to my YouTube channel, I've got plenty of videos there. You can see my chart set up and that. It's not hard. So yeah, scaling out, it's a fair bit of, it's not discretion as such. And even if I do get, say, if I'm in a buy trade and I've already scaled out, say, half, and I've got a stop in place, and I get a sell signal, I won't close out that buy trade most of the time. Sometimes I will if it's just great profit, but I might keep that buy trade on to give me a little bit of a partial hedge in case the sell trade doesn't work out.
And you will take the sell trade even then?
Yeah, I'll take the sell trade still, yeah. I'm quite happy to trade both ways.
Yeah.
And I know some people can't do it or don't like doing it. Fair enough, I can understand that, you know. Like,
Cool. So I know one last thing, you have 4 different books, I think. So what should people look for? Like, is there a book to start with, or what should you come to go through?
I got 3 books. One is, the first one's is The Basics, and that is for anyone that doesn't know anything about Forex, basically. So it's stuff you could get for free over the internet, but I've just collated it all in one book and really broken it down. Mate, I left school when I was 15 years old, so I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. So I like to keep things very simple. So I've made this book specifically for people that don't know anything about Forex. So if you know something about Forex, no use buying that book. But then there's my follow-up book to that. It's a high probability, which is my bread and butter method. That uses the MACD Platinum, the QQE Advanced. And the third book is just an expansion on that, the high probability, where I use divergence. Divergence is a big part of my trading. I love divergence. It's everywhere using my indicators. It's that's the gist of it. So if you're looking for a decent method, I'd go with the divergence because that covers the high probability sort of stuff too. I don't know, I'm not sure what the price are. It's about a $10 book on Amazon. There's no upsells. You get all the indicators, custom indicators, templates. You can email me anytime you want. You can join my Facebook group. I haven't got a podcast yet.
Yeah, that's going to come next year. We'll see.
No plans, mate. No plans.
All right, okay, cool. I tried, but it doesn't work. All right,
it's great.
Cool. So, Jen, thank you very much for the interview. It's been great.
Thank
I think
you.
people loved it. And if you have any question after the video is done, comment below in the comment section. We'll make sure to monitor and answer the question as they come in. And thanks a lot for watching. I appreciate it. And we'll catch you pretty soon.
Thank you.